So I became resourceful. I called a few numbers. As it turned out, since the unit had no legal agreement with me and it was sitting on privately deeded property, I was well within my rights to have it taken away. The towing company wasn't eager at first. "It's not a car," the man said, running his hand through his hair. "Doesn't matter," I said, holding up the parcel deed and a pile of printed HOA bylaws. "This is illegal storage. You remove junked cars from private lots. This is junk." He smiled. "I'll bring the flatbed." The next morning, 6:45 a.m., the truck backed into my driveway with flashing lights of justice. We loaded that porta-potty like a shamed statue being hauled away for history's garbage can. Now the best part, where to deposit it. Who did we know that had a flat, HOA, manicured, public-facing lawn within full view of the main entrance? Karen. We crept up slowly, like a prize parade, and parked the blue monster on her newly fertilized fescue. I left a small, sticky note stuck to the door. "You left this on my property. Thought you might want it back. Your good neighbor." Then I smiled and walked away as her security camera whirled like a panicked owl. Oh, Karen lost it. She attempted to call the police. They arrived, requested to view the deed, shrugged, and departed. She attempted to have the HOA board fine me, but 3 of the 5 board members were already fed up with her behavior, especially after I displayed for them the legal documents and the chemical-stained photos. It also came out that her small choice wasn't even voted on. Worse, the sanitation firm confirmed personally that Karen had herself sanctioned the installation using HOA funds without official authorization. That was an abuse of community funds. A special session was convened within 2 weeks. I went in a spotless polo, with a thumb drive loaded with documents, and presented my conclusions calmly. Karen shrieked that I was publicly humiliating her. I just smiled and told her, "No, Karen, you did that to yourself the minute you placed a porta-potty on my lot without permission." The board voted 4-1 to censure Karen. She lost her president status, was prohibited from discretionary budget spending, and the HOA had to pay to resod my curb and reimburse me for the cleanup. The icing on the cake? A month later, Karen put her house up for sale. Rumor was she could not abide living in a neighborhood where folks had witnessed her blue throne moment going viral. Because, yep, someone did post the towing video on TikTok. More than 800,000 views in 3 days. If you've ever had an encounter with a power-tripping neighbor, leave your story in the comments. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this if you think in toilets for justice. When I saw a porta-potty planted squarely on my private property, I figured it was an error, until I noticed the superior little sign taped to it. HOA Karen did it again. But this time, I didn't hire a lawyer. I hired a tow truck. It began with a thud. I threw open my blinds one Thursday morning and observed something blue, box-like, and profoundly out of place parked on my front lot. A porta-potty on my private property. I assumed it was an error at first. Perhaps some contractor left it behind? I stepped outside in my robe and slippers, went around the object like it was an alien spaceship, and saw a laminated notice zip-tied to the grip. Community event sponsored by Maple Ridge HOA. Please do not move. My gut fell. I instantly knew who was responsible for this. Karen Whitmore, our HOA president, a woman so fixated on control that she once charged my neighbor for having aggressively festive Halloween lights. I stormed directly to the HOA office, which of course was in her house, and asked them why there was a public toilet perched on my land. Karen, with her typical smarminess, smiled as if I was a child wondering why the sky is blue. "Just temporary. We're having a community 5K this weekend, and we required additional restroom facilities. Your space is not being used, and the board voted to utilize it as a service location." I wasn't given any notice. No letter, no vote, no okay. "You can't just dump a toilet on my property without consent," I snapped. Karen's eyes narrowed. "Well, if you're not using the land, it should benefit the community. That's what being a good neighbor means." I left before I said something that would earn me a citation. Now here's what Karen didn't know. I may look like your average quiet homeowner, but I'm also a civil engineer who's had plenty of experience dealing with municipal codes, right-of-way disputes, and property encroachments. And she had definitely violated half a dozen laws. To start, her porta-potty was within 9 feet of my driveway, which was a setback violation in our city ordinance. Second, she had utilized my personal property for the purpose of a public utility without permission, which, from a legal standpoint, is trespass. And third, the waste services truck discharged a disgusting chemical stain onto my new concrete curb. That stain was the last thing. I complained to the city zoning department, the health department, and even called the sanitation company that delivered the blue horror. I sent certified mail, I kept records, but still it lingered, like a blue plastic middle finger.